Commander Peter Hayes stood alone in the observation deck of the USS Defiant. Through the massive viewport, he watched distant stars shine against the blackness of space. Each tiny point of light represented a world, many now fallen to the enemy. His rough hands gripped the railing as he thought about what was coming. The door behind him slid open with a soft hiss. The reflection in the glass showed Admiral Susan Miller entering the room. Her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and worry lines crossed her face. "Bad news?" Hayes asked without turning around. "The worst," Miller replied. She stepped beside him and handed over a data pad. "The Zarkesh destroyed 3 more systems yesterday. The Centauri Alliance has fallen." Hayes swiped through the report, his eyes narrowing as he viewed the destruction. Entire planets reduced to rubble. Billions of lives erased in hours. The Zarkesh armada was moving through the galaxy, like a storm, and nothing stood in their way. "How many ships this time?" he asked. 57. Their main fleet keeps growing. They take the technology of everyone they beat and add it to their own. Miller's voice remained steady, though her hands shook slightly. "Their weapons tear apart, matter at the atomic level. Their shields can take hits that would destroy our best ships 10 times over." Hayes set down the pad and turned to face her. "And the Council? What are those cowards saying now?" "They've called an emergency meeting. They want us there." This was surprising. The Galactic Council had kept humans at arm's length for decades. After the First Contact War, Earth had been labeled as dangerous and primitive. Humans were allowed into space but closely watched. The Council gave them a small, resource-poor section of the galaxy and expected gratitude. "Why now?" Hayes asked. "They've treated us like children for 50 years. They block our ships from most trade routes. They keep the best technology from us. Now they want to talk?" Admiral Miller's expression darkened. "They don't want our ideas, Peter. They want our surrender." "What?" "My sources on the Council say they're planning to offer Earth to the Zarkesh, a sacrifice to save their own worlds." Hayes felt his blood run cold, then hot with anger. "They can't do that. We're Council members. Junior members. Non-voting observers." Miller laughed bitterly. "To them, we're expendable. One primitive world, traded for hundreds of advanced ones. Simple math in their minds. And if we say no, then we face the Zarkesh alone, and possibly the Council too." Miller moved to the viewport, staring out at the same stars. "They're afraid, Peter. More afraid than I've ever seen them. The Eltharians, the Vox Collective, even the Trisarian Empire. They're all running scared." Hayes was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, "Is the Defiant ready?" A small smile crossed Miller's face. "Chief Engineer Scott says the final systems came online this morning. The Horizon Array works in simulations. We've never tested it in real battle conditions, but we might not get another chance." Hayes finished. He straightened his uniform. "If the Council is meeting, we should send our best diplomat. Ambassador Carter is already on his way to Alpha Cen Prime. He'll delay them as long as he can." Hayes nodded slowly. "Then it's time to show the galaxy who they're really dealing with." The Council chamber on Alpha Cen Prime was built to impress. Soaring crystal arches supported a dome that showed the sky above. Representatives from 200 species sat in rising tiers, their voices creating a constant hum of tension and fear. Ambassador William Carter felt very alone as he took his seat in the observer section, far from the voting members. After 20 years representing Earth, he still wasn't used to being treated as less than equal. His gray suit stood out among the colorful robes and environmental suits of the alien representatives. High Counselor Nixara of the Eltharian Dominion called the emergency session to order, her forearms raised for silence, blue skin shimmering under the chamber lights. "The situation is grave," she began, her translator converting her whistling language to standard galactic common. "The Zarkesh armada has destroyed the Centauri Alliance. Their fleet grows stronger with each victory. Our analysts predict they will reach the core worlds within 30 days. Images appeared in the air above the chamber, planets breaking apart, Ships exploding, cities burning. The council members watched in horror. "We have tried diplomacy," Nixara continued. "The Zarkesh demand only our complete surrender and the right to harvest our worlds. Their only offer is to spare those who submit willingly." A representative from the Vox Collective rose. "What of our combined fleets? Surely together we can stop them." Admiral Zhen of the Council Defense Force shook his head sadly. "We have lost 60% of our ships already. The Zarkesh technology is unlike anything we have seen. Their ships move in perfect coordination, as if controlled by one mind. They adapt to our weapons after a single battle. We cannot win by force." The chamber erupted into panicked voices. Carter watched as fear spread through the most powerful beings in the galaxy. These were the species that looked down on humans, as violent and primitive. Now they were falling apart at the first real threat. Nixara raised her arms again for quiet. "We have received a communication from the Zarkesh Supreme Director. They are willing to spare the majority of Council worlds, in exchange for certain concessions." Carter leaned forward. This was it. "The Zarkesh demand unrestricted access to 10 systems," Nixara said, "including Sol System, home of the humans." The chamber fell silent as all eyes turned to Carter. He felt the weight of their stares, some apologetic, others calculating, most simply relieved it wasn't their worlds being offered up. "Ambassador Carter," Nixara said, her voice gentler now, "you must understand. The Sol system has few resources of value to the Council. Earth itself is still developing. This sacrifice would save billions of lives across hundreds of worlds." Carter stood slowly. For a moment he considered the diplomatic response, the careful words that might win him sympathy. Then he decided Earth was past that point. "You think you know humans," he said, his voice carrying through the quiet chamber. "You've studied our history. You've seen our wars. You've judged us as violent and dangerous. But you've never truly understood us." He walked to the center of the chamber, a place usually forbidden to observer species. No one stopped him. "Humans don't surrender. We don't sacrifice our people to save our skins. And we certainly don't trust those who would throw us to the wolves to save themselves." Nixara's skin darkened with emotion. "Ambassador, please, this is not personal. The mathematics of survival is something we understand very well," Carter cut in. "Better than you know." His secure communicator chimed. The message was brief. "Defiant launching. Authorized by Joint Chiefs. Code Phoenix." Carter looked up at the Council, a slow smile spreading across his face. "While you've been keeping us at arm's length, treating us like children, we've been preparing. You never bothered to really check what we were building out there in our little corner of space, did you?" "What are you saying?" Admiral Zhen demanded. "I'm saying that the Zarkesh are about to learn what humans do when backed into a corner." Carter's smile grew wider. "And so are you." High Counselor Nixara's eyes narrowed. "You speak of resistance? Your technology is centuries behind the Zarkesh. Your ships use crude fusion drives and basic shield systems. Your weapons are hardly better than projectiles. Against their fleet, you would not last a day." Carter laughed, the sound echoing in the chamber. "You've seen what we wanted you to see. The old ships, the outdated tech." He turned to leave, then looked back over his shoulder. "I suggest you all watch closely what happens next. It's going to be quite educational." As Carter walked out of the chamber, the stunned silence behind him was broken by nervous whispers. None of the Council members believed Earth stood a chance. None of them knew about the Defiant. None of them understood that humans had been preparing for this moment since they first looked to the stars and realized they were not alone. Captain Laura Shepard had never felt such weight on her shoulders. She stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant, watching her crew prepare for what might be humanity's last stand, or its greatest moment. "Status report," she called, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Engineering Officer Daniel Ross looked up from his station, his face lit by blue screens. "All systems green, Captain. The drive is running at 103% efficiency, better than the simulations." "Weapons?" Shepard asked, turning to another station. Frank Collins, the ship's weapons specialist, nodded confidently. Horizon Array is charged and ready. Conventional weapons at full capacity. If this works like the tests showed, we'll change warfare forever. If it works, Shepard thought. They had never tested the array against real targets. The technology was too powerful, too dangerous to use except in the most desperate situations. Like now. She moved to the center of the bridge, looking at the large view screen that showed the blackness of space ahead of them. Somewhere out there, the Zarkesh fleet was tearing through the galaxy's defenses like paper. Navigation, she called to Lieutenant Lisa Howard, set course for the Arcturus Junction. Howard's fingers flew over her controls. Course plotted, Captain. Estimated arrival in 23 hours at maximum speed. Shepard took a deep breath. Take us out, Lieutenant. Full power to the drive. The Defiant moved away from Earth's orbit silently. Unlike the old human ships with their fiery engines and clumsy movements, the Defiant slipped through space like a ghost. Its hull was special, made from quantum-locked alloys that could adapt to energy weapons. The drive system used dark energy instead of normal warp technology, making it faster and impossible to track. But the real secret was the Horizon Array, a weapon unlike anything in the galaxy. As the ship accelerated toward its destination, Shepard touched a control on her chair. Dr. Foster, report to the bridge. Minutes later, Alan Foster arrived. The scientist looked tired but excited. Captain, I've been studying the data we have on the Zarkesh. It's not much, but I've found something interesting. Show me, Shepard said, leading him to a private briefing room just off the bridge. Security Chief Kate Anderson followed them in. Foster activated a display showing strange purple-black ships moving in perfect formation. The Zarkesh fleet moves as one unit. Each ship responds instantly to threats with no communication lag. How is that possible? Anderson asked, frowning. They're using quantum entanglement, Foster explained. It's like they're all part of the same mind. When one ship sees something, they all see it. When one ship moves, they all know where to go. Shepard leaned closer to the display. Is that a weakness we can use? Foster smiled. It might be. If we can disrupt their quantum network, each ship would suddenly be on its own. They'd lose their biggest advantage. And the Horizon Array can do that? Anderson asked. In theory, Foster said. The array was designed to create a bubble where we can change the rules of physics. Inside that bubble, quantum entanglement should break down completely. Shepard nodded slowly. So we hit them with the array, break their connection, and then attack while they're confused. Exactly, Foster confirmed. But we need to get close to their command ship. That's the center of their network. How close? Anderson asked. 200,000 kilometers at most, Foster said. Any farther and the effect will be too weak. Shepard's face was grim. That means getting right into the middle of their fleet, undetected, and hitting them before they know we're there. Can we do it? Anderson asked. We have to, Shepard replied. There's no other choice. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Supreme Director Kazak of the Zarkesh studied the surrender terms from the Galactic Council. His large, multifaceted eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of satisfaction in his species. They offer us Earth, he said to his commanders. A primitive world on the edge of developed space. Commander Vexel, his second in command, moved closer. Is it worth accepting, Supreme Director? Delaying our advance for one small planet? The humans are different, Kazak said. They worry the Council in ways the other species do not. There is something about them that makes the older races nervous. They are violent, another commander added. Their history is full of war. They fight among themselves constantly. Yes, Kazak agreed. And species that fight themselves often develop interesting weapons. Their planet may have resources we can use. He turned to the main screen where the Zarkesh fleet was visible. 57. Warships moving as one perfect unit. Send word to the Council. We accept their offer. We will meet them at the Arcturus Junction to finalize terms. Vexel bowed. As you command, Supreme Director. After his commanders left, Kazak studied the limited information they had on humans. Primitive technology, yes, but there were gaps in the data. The humans had fought a brief war when first contacted, showing surprising strength before being contained. Since then, they had been kept isolated, given only limited access to galactic technology and trade. Most interesting, Kazak thought, was how little was known about what humans had been doing in their corner of space for the past 50 years. Back on the Defiant, Captain Shepard was in her quarters reviewing battle plans when a call came through. "Captain," Communications Officer Ryan Lee's voice came over the speaker. "Urgent message from Earth Command." Shepard sat up straight. "Put it through." Admiral Miller's face appeared on the screen. "Captain, I have new information. The Zarkesh have accepted the Council's offer. They're heading to the Arcturus Junction for the formal surrender of Earth. Then we'll meet them there," Shepard said. "There's more," Miller continued. "Operation Shadow Fleet is now active. Code green across the board." Shepard's eyes widened. Shadow Fleet had been Earth's deepest secret, a project decades in the making. "All units?" "All units," Miller confirmed. 100 ships, Captain. They'll be at your position within hours of your arrival at Arcturus." For the first time since taking command, Shepard felt a surge of real hope. "I'll inform the crew." When the call ended, she immediately went to the bridge. Communications. Ship-wide announcement. The crew stopped what they were doing, looking up at their captain. "This is Captain Shepard," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the ship. "I've just received word from Earth Command. Operation Shadow Fleet is green. I repeat, Shadow Fleet is green." A murmur ran through the bridge. Everyone knew what this meant. "For those of you who haven't been briefed," Shepard continued, "Earth has been building in secret for 50 years. The Defiant is not alone. 100 warships are joining us at Arcturus." Collins let out a whoop of joy. "They really did it. They built the whole fleet." Howard turned in her chair. 100 ships? How did they keep that secret? "Underground facilities on Mars," Ross explained. "Hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt. Construction sites beneath Europa's ice. The Council never bothered to look closely at what we were doing in our own system." Shepard held up her hand for quiet. "This doesn't change our mission. We still need to disable the Zarkesh command network. The Defiant will go in first as planned. If we succeed, Shadow Fleet will finish what we start." "And if we fail?" Anderson asked the question everyone was thinking. Shepard met her gaze. "Then Earth stands alone against both the Zarkesh and the Council." She looked around at her crew. "But we won't fail. We can't afford to." As the Defiant continued toward Arcturus, hiding its approach with advanced stealth technology, the crew prepared for battle. They knew the odds. They understood what was at stake. What they didn't know was that they were about to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. In her ready room, Captain Shepard studied the projected path of the Zarkesh fleet one last time. Then she looked at the small photo on her desk. Earth, blue and beautiful, seen from orbit. "We're coming for you," she whispered to the empty room. "The galaxy thinks we're weak. They're about to learn how wrong they are." The Defiant dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Arcturus system. The massive ship slowed to a crawl, its advanced engines barely making a ripple in space. On the bridge, the crew watched the main screen in silence. There, against the red glow of a dying star, hung the Zarkesh fleet. 58 purple-black ships formed a perfect circle around one vessel twice the size of the others. The ships seemed to absorb the light around them, their surfaces so dark they looked like holes cut into space itself. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Howard. "There are so many of them." Captain Shepard stood from her command chair, her face illuminated by the red light from the screen. "Analysis, Lieutenant." Howard checked her readings. 58 ships detected. "Captain, including one vessel twice the size of the others in the center of the formation, that must be the command ship." Shepard nodded. "Just as intelligence reported." She turned to the rest of the bridge crew. "Battle stations. Activate stealth systems and begin approach." Red alert lights flashed silently as the crew prepared for battle. The Defiance revolutionary, cloaking technology engaged, bending light and energy around the ship. This wasn't just visual cloaking. It hid the ship from the full range of sensors used by known galactic powers. Stealth systems at full power, reported Engineering Officer Ross. We're invisible to all known detection methods. Horizon array? Shepard asked. Weapons Specialist Collins nodded. Charged and ready, Captain. Dr. Foster, what about their command network? Can you detect it? The scientist studied his screens with intense focus. Yes, Captain. I'm picking up quantum fluctuations between all ships in the fleet. It's just as we suspected. They're operating on a quantum-entangled communication network. He looked up. Very advanced, but vulnerable to our approach. Navigation, take us in, Shepard ordered. Slow and steady, I want us right in the middle of their fleet. The Defiant moved forward silently, slipping between the massive alien warships like a ghost. From the bridge, the crew could see the Zarkesh vessels up close now, their strange organic-looking hulls covered with weapon ports and sensor arrays. 250,000 kilometers from the command ship, Howard reported. 200. Any sign they've detected us? Shepard asked. Security Chief Anderson checked her tactical display. Negative, Captain. Their ships are maintaining standard formation. No alert status detected. The tension on the bridge was thick enough to cut with a knife. Every person knew that if their stealth systems failed, they would be instantly destroyed by the surrounding fleet. 200,000 kilometers from the command ship, Howard finally announced. We're in optimal range for the Horizon array. Captain Shepard took a deep breath. This was the moment everything had been leading to. Mr. Collins, target the Horizon array at these coordinates. She sent the data to his station. Full power. Collins's fingers moved over his console. Array locked on target coordinates. Full power confirmed. He looked up at Shepard. Ready to fire on your command, Captain? For a brief moment, Shepard thought of Earth, of the billions of lives depending on this one shot. The Horizon array wasn't a regular weapon. It was a device that could temporarily change the laws of physics in a localized area. Inside that bubble, quantum entanglement, the very technology that allowed the Zarkesh fleet to function as one, would break down. Fire, she ordered. Collins pressed the firing control. There was no beam, no explosion, no dramatic light show. Instead, a barely visible ripple of distortion spread outward from the Defiant, washing over the Zarkesh fleet like a silent wave. For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then chaos erupted. The perfect circle of Zarkesh ships suddenly broke formation. Some vessels started firing wildly into space. Others began moving in random directions, colliding with each other. Several ships went completely dark, their systems failing. It worked, Foster exclaimed, staring at his readings in amazement. The quantum field is completely disrupted. We've broken their hive-mind connection. Each ship is acting independently now. On the main screen, they watched as the once perfect fleet fell into complete disorder. Without central coordination, the ships were firing on each other, unable to tell friend from foe. Now for Phase 2, Shepard said, her voice steady despite the victory unfolding before them. Deactivate stealth systems. All power to conventional weapons. Target the command ship. The Defiant shimmered into visibility as its cloaking field dropped. Its weapons ports opened, revealing advanced energy cannons that began to glow with building power. Weapons locked on the command ship, Collins reported. Before Shepard could give the order to fire, Communications Officer Lee called out, Captain, I'm picking up a transmission from the Zarkesh command ship. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. On screen, Shepard ordered. The face of Supreme Director Kazak appeared. A frightening alien with multiple eyes and gray-purple skin. Unknown vessel, he said, his voice translated by the ship's computer. You have attacked the Zarkesh Dominion. Identify yourself immediately. Shepard stepped forward. This is Captain Laura Shepard of the Earth Warship Defiant. Your fleet threatened our world. The Galactic Council may have been willing to sacrifice us, but we had other ideas. Kazak's many eyes blinked rapidly. Earth? Impossible. Earth is a primitive world with no advanced technology. Your ship cannot be human-made. You've been misinformed, Shepard replied coldly. While the galaxy ignored us, we built, we studied, we prepared, and now we're here to end your threat, once and for all. The alien's face showed confusion, then anger. One ship cannot defeat the Zarkesh Armada. Even with our network temporarily disrupted, we will destroy you. Shepard allowed herself a small smile. Who said anything about one? Ship? She nodded to Lee. Send the signal. Lee pressed a series of controls. Signal sent, Captain. Shadow Fleet acknowledges. Kazak was about to speak again when his image suddenly froze. His eyes widened as he looked at something off-screen. Space rippled around the Arcturus system as 100 human warships emerged from hyperspace. Each was smaller than the Defiant, but built with similar technology. They surrounded the disorganized Zarkesh fleet in a perfect formation. This is Commander John Wells of Earth Shadow Fleet, came a new voice over the communication system. Defiant, we have you covered. All ships are in attack position and awaiting orders. The bridge crew of the Defiant cheered. Shepard raised, her hand for quiet, her eyes never leaving the screen where Kazak's shocked face was still visible. Supreme Director, she said, your fleet has two options, surrender now or be destroyed. Kazak's face twisted with rage. The Zarkesh do not surrender, we will. His transmission cut off suddenly. On the main screen, they saw several Zarkesh ships begin to move erratically toward the command vessel. What's happening? Shepard demanded. They're attacking their own command ship, Anderson reported, checking her tactical display. 3 Zarkesh destroyers are firing on the command vessel. Foster looked up from his station. The disruption of their network must have caused more damage than we thought. Some ships might think the command vessel is an enemy. On the screen, energy. Weapons tore into the massive command ship. Its shields flickered and failed under the assault from its own fleet. Should we intervene? Collins asked. Shepard shook her head. Hold position. Let's see how this plays out. They watched as the command ship tried to defend itself, firing back at the attacking vessels. But without coordination, the battle was chaotic and brutal. More Zarkesh ships joined the fight on both sides, creating a massive firefight in the center of their formation. Captain, Foster called out urgently, I'm detecting a massive energy buildup in the command ship's core. They're activating their self-destruct sequence. All ships pull back. Shepard ordered immediately. Maximum distance, emergency speed. The Defiant and the Shadow Fleet vessels immediately began moving away from the Zarkesh ships. They had barely reached a safe distance when the command ship exploded in a blinding flash of light. The explosion tore through the nearby Zarkesh vessels, destroying more than half their remaining fleet in an instant. When the light faded, the survivors of the Zarkesh fleet were scattered and damaged. Without their command ship, without their network, they were just individual vessels, powerful but no match for the coordinated human fleet. All ships, target remaining enemy vessels, Commander Wells ordered over the comm system. Fire at will. The battle that followed was short but intense. The human ships moved with perfect coordination, their weapons tearing through the confused Zarkesh defenses. Some alien ships tried to flee, only to be caught and disabled. Others fought to the end, taking damage until they could fight no more. Within an hour, it was over. The mighty Zarkesh Armada, the fleet that had terrorized the galaxy for months, was destroyed. On the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Shepard stood in silence as the reports came in. All enemy vessels neutralized or destroyed, Lieutenant Howard reported. No survivors detected. Shepard nodded slowly. Signal Earth Command. Operation Phoenix successful. She looked around at her exhausted but triumphant crew. And let the Galactic Council know that Earth is not to be underestimated again. The explosion of the Zarkesh command ship lit up the Arcturus system like a second sun. The massive burst of energy spread outward, catching several nearby alien vessels in its destructive wave. The human fleet had pulled back just in time, watching from a safe distance as their enemy tore itself apart. On the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Shepard watched the final moments of battle. The remaining Zarkesh ships, confused and without coordination, were no match for the disciplined human fleet. One by one, they were disabled or destroyed. Last enemy vessel neutralized, Lieutenant Howard reported. The battle is over, Captain. A cheer went up from the crew, quickly silenced by a raised hand from Shepard. Casualties? She asked. 7 of our ships damaged, Security Chief Anderson replied. 2 with serious damage. No ships lost. 17 injured crew members across. The fleet, no deaths. Shepard closed her eyes briefly, letting out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. They had faced the most feared force in the galaxy, and won without losing a single ship. Communications. Send a message to Earth Command, she ordered. Operation Phoenix successful. Zarkesh fleet destroyed, awaiting further orders. As the message was sent, Engineering Officer Ross approached her. Captain, the Horizon Array is offline. The power discharge was more than we calculated. We'll need at least 2 days to get it functioning again. Shepard nodded. Good work, Mr. Ross. Without the array, none of this would have been possible. Dr. Foster was studying the debris field with intense interest. Captain, with your permission, I'd like to send teams to collect some of the Zarkesh wreckage. Their technology could teach us a great deal. Make it happen, Doctor, Shepard agreed. But be careful. We don't know what might still be active out there. As the fleet began the process of securing the area and collecting data, a message came in from Earth Command. Admiral Miller's face appeared on the main screen. Congratulations, Captain, she said, unable to hide her smile. The President has asked me to convey his personal thanks to you and your crew. What you've accomplished today will go down in human history. Thank you, Admiral, Shepard replied. What are our new orders? First, rest your crew. You've earned it, Miller said. Then prepare for a diplomatic mission. The Galactic Council has called an emergency session in 3 days. They're eager to meet the humans who did what their combined forces could not. 3 days later, the Defiant arrived at Alpha Cen Prime. Captain Shepard led a delegation of officers to the Galactic Council chambers, where they were met by Ambassador Carter. Quite a show you put on out there, Carter said, shaking Shepard's hand. The Council hasn't stopped talking about it since the news arrived. How are they taking it? Shepard asked. Carter's smile was grim. They're scared. Not of the Zarkesh anymore. Now they're scared of us. As they entered the council chamber, a hush fell over the gathered representatives. The human delegation walked to the center of the room where normally only full council members were allowed. No one objected. High Counselor Nixara rose from her seat, her forearms held in a formal gesture. Captain Shepard, representatives of Earth, the Council acknowledges your unexpected contribution to the defeat of the Zarkesh threat. We extend our official gratitude. Gratitude? Ambassador Carter's voice was cold. Just days ago, this council voted to sacrifice our entire planet. You were ready to hand us over to save yourselves. Murmurs ran through the chamber. Nixara's blue skin darkened with emotion. We made a tactical decision based on the information available to us, another counselor protested, rising from his seat. We had no knowledge of Earth's military capabilities. That was by design, Shepard said, stepping forward. While you dismissed us as primitive, we studied your technologies. We improved them. We developed our own advances. We knew that someday a threat would emerge that the Council couldn't handle. You deceived us, accused Admiral Jean of the Council Defense Force. We protected ourselves, Shepard corrected. And in doing so, we saved the galaxy, including those who were ready to abandon us. Ambassador Carter stepped forward. The terms of Earth's continued participation in galactic affairs have changed. We will no longer be relegated to observer status or treated as junior partners. Earth demands full membership on the Council, with all rights and privileges. The EP. Counselors looked at each other nervously. The humans had just demonstrated technology that none of them possessed. technology that had defeated an enemy they all feared. Your terms are acceptable, Nixara finally said. Earth will be granted full council membership. That's not all, Carter continued. We also demand access to all trade routes, technology sharing agreements, and mutual defense pacts. Earth will no longer be isolated. You ask for much, a counselor objected. We offer much in return, Shepard replied. The Horizon Array technology that defeated the Zarkesh could be shared with trusted allies. Earth's fleet could help protect Council worlds, but only if we're treated as equals. After hours of negotiation, the Council agreed to Earth's terms. The planet that had been scorned as primitive was now recognized as one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. As news of the Zarkesh defeat spread throughout the stars, humanity's reputation changed overnight. The species that had been dismissed as violent savages became known as the saviors of galactic civilization. Back on the Defiant, now in orbit around Alpha Centauri Prime, Captain Shepard addressed her crew in the main hall. Every available space was filled with personnel eager to hear their captain's words. Today marks a new chapter for humanity, she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. For 50 years we prepared in secret, building our strength while the galaxy ignored us. Now we've earned our place among the stars, not through conquest or intimidation, but by being exactly what we've always been. Survivors, innovators, defenders. A cheer went up from the assembled crew. When it died down, Engineering Officer Ross raised his hand. Captain, what about the remaining Zarkesh? Intelligence suggests they have colonies beyond the Sagittarius Arm. That, Shepard replied, is tomorrow's mission. For now, we've bought the galaxy some time. After the address, Shepard returned to her quarters. A call was waiting from Admiral Miller. I'll keep this brief, Captain, Miller said when Shepard answered. The Joint Chiefs have new orders for you. The Defiant isn't coming home just yet. Ma'am, Shepard asked. We need to know where the Zarkesh came from, Miller explained. Your ship will lead an expeditionary force to the edge of known space. Find their homeworld. Determine if they're still a threat. Shepard nodded. When do we leave? As soon as your ship is repaired. The Shadow Fleet is being divided. Half returning to Earth, half joining you on this mission. We'll be ready, Admiral, Shepard promised. After the call ended, Shepard went to her viewport and looked out at the stars. So many worlds, so many possibilities. The galaxy that had feared humans for their unpredictability and capacity for violence now needed those very traits for protection. The irony wasn't lost on her as she studied the star chart showing their next destination. The dark region beyond, the Sagittarius Arm, uncharted and dangerous. Dr. Foster entered after knocking. The repairs are ahead of schedule, Captain. The Horizon Array will be fully functional in 12 hours. Good, Shepard said. We'll need it where we're going. Though, crew is talking, Foster said. About what we did at Arcturus. Some are calling it the most important moment in human history. Shepard shook her head. Not the most important, just the most visible. The most important moment was 50 years ago, when Earth decided not to accept the role the galaxy wanted to give us. When we chose to prepare instead of complain. Foster nodded thoughtfully. What do you think we'll find out there? Beyond the Sagittarius Arm? I don't know, Shepard admitted. But whatever it is, humanity is ready for it. As the Defiant began preparations for its journey into the unknown, messages poured in from Earth and from worlds across the galaxy. Some offered congratulations, others pledged alliance, and a few expressed concern about Earth's new power. Captain Shepard read them all, but her focus remained on the mission ahead. The Zarkesh had been defeated, but not destroyed. Their homeworld was still out there, possibly planning revenge. But this time humanity wouldn't be facing the threat alone. This time they had the respect and support of the galaxy they had saved, and it had all started with one human warship arriving when the galaxy needed it most. As Shepard prepared her ship for their next journey, she couldn't help but smile at how quickly things had changed. The species that everyone had underestimated had saved them all. It was a good day to be human,